Marhaban, welcome back. So I hope you've made a lot of progress and had a lot of success with our previous letters. Now, if you remember from last time, we talked about 3 short vowels, but we still have 2 blanks in our chart. Well, today we're going to fill those out, and you will have actually all the vowels in the Arabic language. So you're getting ahead. Okay, so let's review basically the vowels we have. Remember, we have 3 long, 3 short vowels, and they correspond to each other. So just as aleph was a long a sound, we had fatha, which was the short version of that, the a cut-off aleph. Okay, now we learned our other 2 short vowels, so it's time to learn the long vowels that will go in their place. So I want to start with this one on the bottom first because this one is actually easy to write. This is our long oo sound, and the name of this letter is wow. Think of in English, wow. Okay? Now the names of the letters are not that important at this point, but that's what it's called. Now this one is fairly easy to draw because if we look at the short vowel dhamma, wow is going to look just like that, only bigger. Okay, it's a hook shape. Okay. Now where we actually put it in our lines, it's going to go up to this middle line, the dotted line, and it's going to go partially under the line. So, very simple. One nice curling motion. Now, the letter wow, like aleph, is a non-connector, which I think you can probably guess because if I end down here, it's going to be hard to connect onto a letter that comes after it. And just like aleph, it doesn't have any choice if the letter before it connects. So, if wow is at the beginning, it doesn't connect. And in this case, aleph does not connect because we know that's a non-connecting letter. But if something is coming before it, of course, it has no choice but to connect. But again, there's no connection here. And this, in fact, you know all these letters. We have a ba, we have an oo sound, and tha. Put it all together, booth. And as you're seeing, our long vowels have separate letters. Our shorts do not. They go above or beyond the consonant. Okay? So that's oo. Let's take a look at some examples of this and see if you can identify it. Okay, here we go. We have 4 words, and I think wow is a pretty distinct letter. It sort of jumps right out at you. Okay, obviously, here's one at the beginning. Here we have wow in the middle. Of course, you know not to connect that. It would be kind of hard to connect that even if you wanted to. Here again, we have another wow in the middle, and in this case, you know all these letters. I have an N, a wow, another noon. Put them all together, this makes the sound noon. Right, this is the name of that letter. And here's another one where we know all the letters. I have an aleph, a ba, and the wow is at the end. This is the word abu. Abu, you probably know this from Abu Dhabi, abu meaning father. Okay, so this is pretty easy to recognize. Now, I'm going to tell you there is a little trick with wow. As we said, wow makes the oo sound, but it also has another function as well. It makes the sound of the consonant W. Now, how do we know which is which? Well, that is something we're just going to have to learn as we go along. There are ways to tell, but this could either be an oo sound or the sound of wa, as in water, wait, walk. One thing I can tell you though, however, is anytime a wow appears at the beginning of a word, that means it is a consonant. So in this case, it's wa, wasala. Most of the time, if it's in the middle of the word, okay, it's going to be a vowel sound. Like this one here that you can read, we have an N, we have an oo, and we have another N, noon. So if that were a wow, it wouldn't quite work. But it is something to bear in mind. It can be either an oo or a wow. Now, Some people would say these are two different sounds, two different letters using the same symbol, but they're really not if you watch what your mouth does when you make these two sounds. Ooh, wah. Okay? It's actually, you're doing the same thing with your mouth. The difference in the consonant is you don't hold it. Wah, ooh. Okay? They're similar, they're related sounds. Now the same is going to be true for our final letter. Okay, we have one more box to fill, and then we'll have all the vowel sounds. So we had the short I, now we need the long E sound, as in teeth, beat, feed. This one is a little bit tricky, but I think you're going to like making this letter. It makes sort of a fishhook shape with two dots underneath. Now, where that goes on the line is, again, it stays in between these bottom two lines. So, kind of come up here and we make the fishhook. You're going to see a lot of variation on how people do this part here, how they connect in and start it. Okay? But it always has the fishhook coming underneath, all right? A very, very distinct shape, and the two dots. This is the only letter we've seen so far that has two dots underneath. Okay? Now, there is a trick to this letter, unfortunately, and so I have to make this clear, is that this is a shape of the letter when it's either by itself or at the end of the word. Now, aleph and wow were both non-connectors. So by this point, you're probably expecting that long vowels are non-connectors. And it would be nice if it were that simple and we could have them straight. However, this is a point that tends to trick up beginners for a while at least. This letter here, the ya, the E sound, is the only one. It is the only one of the vowels which is actually a connector. So don't think that they're all non-connectors. 2 out of the 3 are. This letter actually connects. The good news is when it connects, it takes a shape that you know very well. It's the one we've been using so far for all our consonants. This shape here, and of course it keeps the 2 dots underneath. That's one thing about Arabic letters, is the dots remain consistent. Whatever happens to the letter, however other changes it makes, it keeps the 2 dots. So this right now is looking a lot like a ba with 2 dots, or a ta where we move the dots down the bottom. But remember, 2 dots on the bottom gives us this E sound. Unfortunately, that one doesn't have an easy mnemonic to remember it. But the same thing in the middle of a word, just like this. Now, you would think it'd be really great, we just do the final version with 2 dots and it would be fine. But that's where we have this fishhook shape, so it's a little bit different. So yes, this letter has a number of curveballs to it. It's just a question of getting used to seeing it. So we're going to look at some examples and see if you can pick it out. All right, here we have 3 words. And remember, what we're looking for is our 2 dots on the bottom. So I think you can recognize where they are. Let's look at our first word. Now, a lot of dots going on here, and I understand it takes some time getting used to it, but as you see these letters over and over again, you're going to be able to recognize them right off the bat. So where is our E sound? It's right there. Okay. Now, we know this is a ta, 2 on top, ta. We know noon, so we put this all together, teen. This is the word teen. Now, this is also a word that we can sound out everything. Aleph, a, b, and an E, Abby, Abby. Abby means my father, just to note. But notice it's coming at the end, so it takes this fishhook shape. Never ever put this fishhook shape in the middle of a word connected on both sides. It doesn't happen. Okay? And here's an example where we have 2 of these, one at the beginning, one in the middle. And because they're both connected, they're not coming at the end of a word, we don't have the fishhook shape. They take the same shape as ta, as ba, as noon, just with the 2 dots on the bottom. So now we've got pretty much all of our combinations of dots. You just have to keep them straight. But these are our 3 long vowels. Okay, is that all? Well, we have one more trick to bring up here, one more little variation, and then I promise we'll be done for these vowels. Like we said about wow, how it has sort of the double duty. It's an oo and a wah, and we said those are related sounds. Well, the same thing is true of e. This letter, which is called ya, you can probably guess from the sound of it, performs double duty as well. It's an e, but it also has the function of the consonant y. Now, this one is similar to English. Notice that this letter in English, remember when you learned your vowels, A, E, I, O, U, and what? Sometimes Y. Well, this is exactly the same. Remember, we have words like same letter. This is a vowel, slowly. This same letter, this same symbol is a consonant, young. Exactly the same as in Arabic. Now, the same is not true for oo and wa, but this parallels English exactly. So let's take a look at some examples. Okay, here we have 3 words, all containing the ya in them. Now, as I said, this can be either consonant ya or the long vowel e. Now, like wow, one thing we can say for sure, whenever it appears at the beginning of a word, it's always going to be a consonant. So that much we know. If we see it at the beginning of a word, we know it's a ya. Otherwise, we have to sort of guess, but you begin as you learn specific words, you learn how it's pronounced, and you're going to see there are a lot of patterns. So let's take our first one. Here we have 3 letters. You know all these 3 letters. Okay, we have a b. Here is our ya, and here is ta. Now, if we put this together, again, you don't know for sure if this is a consonant or a vowel, but you can kind of guess. B, E, T, beat. If I put this together, it's going to make the sound beat. This is more likely than this being 3 consonants in a row. Okay? So that's what that is. Here, you notice this word has 2 yas in it. So we know right off the bat, this first one has to be a consonant sound, a ya. Okay? The second one we don't know for sure, but again, we can kind of guess because we know all the letters. So we have a ya followed by a wow. Well, if that was a Y consonant followed by a W consonant, that would be a really strange sound. You probably couldn't say that. But a wa followed by a Y, a yes sound, followed by an oo, U. This makes a U sound, very natural. And this, in fact, is a combination that appears a lot, these 2 letters in this order. And so usually it's going to be that, a U sound, because that sounds right. U, and then we have an N, and then the same thing. So if we put this together, Yun Yu, Yun Yu, Yun Yu, Yun Yu, it is the month of June. June, Yunyo. Okay? Just an easy way to remember that. But again, you're kind of using your logic that this followed by this one's probably going to be a consonant, this one's probably going to be a vowel. Similarly, right here, we have, okay? Right here, we have letters that we know. We have a be, aleph, another be, and a ya. Now, we can put these together, you can sound this out, and you can guess that this is most likely going to be a vowel sound just by what sounds right. These first 3 letters we know come together and make the sound bab, bab. We learned bab meant door, and I have this on the end. Well, a ya or an e? Babby, babby. It just sounds better. It makes more sense. Babby. And just for your information, putting this E at the end of a word makes it mine. So bab was door, babby, my door. Okay? You don't have to remember that now. We'll learn that later on. But again, it just shows you how we can use these letters, put them together, and make meaning pretty easily. So right now you have all you need to do the lesson on the vowels. We have plenty of exercises in here to get you used to hearing the difference between long and short, between the different short vowels, and recognize them as they're coming up. But I want to stress that this is something that is fairly difficult for most non-native speakers, and it's definitely an art. It's something you learn to do over time. So don't distress if you can't get all of these right or you still have a hard time with some of the sounds. This is perfectly natural because these are the same vowels, the only vowels you're going to be using for every word that you learn, and so that's going to reinforce it. As you listen to more and more, you'll develop that skill. You know, it's like playing tennis or something. At first, you don't get it perfectly, but the more you do it, the more you get the skill down. So don't be discouraged. The important thing is that you understand the basic concept. You can start to recognize the basic differences, and you're going to be seeing these over and over again, and you'll get them down very well. So good luck. Shukran jazilan.